Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS editorial analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC CSE syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any key concepts have come in the editorial and are important from exam point of view, we also discuss that. So let us begin today's editorial analysis. We have taken today's editorial from Indian Express and it has come on 9th of June. The title of the editorial is Unlocking the Farm, and it talks about the amendments made in Essential Commodities Act 1955, and it says the end of monopoly of APMC mandis sends out a welcoming message to the farm sector. So the editorial basically deals with the changes that have been brought into the farm sector, which are basically meant to unshackle it from the restrictions imposed by these laws. So let us look at its linkage with the syllabus. We find that it links directly with GS paper 3, where we have economic development as a major topic. And under this we have subtopics concerned with agriculture. So it relates with the transport, marketing of agriculture produce and issues and related constraints. And also it deals with the food processing and related industries in India and the contract farming, supply chain management, etc. So after establishing this linkage with the syllabus, now let us look at its key points. The editorial deals with unlocking the farm sector. It says that the farm sector has been unlocked by the government by bringing amendment to the Essential Commodities Act 1955 and also by trying to end the monopoly of APMC mandis, which are the Agriculture Produce Marketing Committees. And they were actually intended to stop the farmers from selling in distress. But over a period of time, they have transformed into cartels formed by middlemen who actually exploit the farmers while selling their produce. And the most affected are the farmers who are small and marginal, because the big farmers are able to get the right price, but the small and marginal farmers, they are not in a position to negotiate and they are dependent on the middlemen for price discovery. So if we look at the Essential Commodities Act, which was enacted in 1955 and now it has been amended to deregulate the food items. And which are the food items? So here we should be knowing that 6 food items have been deregulated, and an easy way to remember these 6 items is by this acronym called Chief Executive Officer of Oppo Mobile Phones. So C here stands for cereals, E stands for edible oils, O stands for onion, other O stands for oil seeds, P stands for pulses, and PO stands for potato. So this way you can remember these 6 items. And the purpose behind this by the government is to make Indian agricultural sector more competitive and attract investments. And here we should also know what was the purpose behind enacting this Essential Commodities Act in 1955. So it was enacted at a time of food scarcity and it needs to reflect the current concerns. When we have an abundance of crops, India has achieved food sufficiency and it is not dependent on imports. So the times have changed, but the law remained the same. And farmers want to export, but they are not allowed. And this has made the market distorted and both farmers as well as the consumers suffer on account of this. Coming back to the editorial, it further says that the agricultural sector has been the only bright spot amid this lockdown induced economic slowdown. And almost all sectors of the economy have taken a big hit. But agricultural sector has shown its resilience. And this is proved by the fact that the retail fertilizer sales have doubled in May 2020 as compared to May 2019. And not only this, it is the 7th consecutive month of double-digit growth in fertilizer sales at the retail level. So this shows that the agriculture sector is doing well. And this is relative when we compare it with other sectors. They are not doing that great. An editorial says that the government has done well to introduce supply side reforms in the agriculture sector. Now, what are the supply side reforms? So, supply side reforms basically refer to the supply chain management revamps that the government is trying to bring in the agriculture sector. It also aims at reducing the leakages and increasing the public investment, and most importantly, improving the marketing infrastructure which is available on the supply side, that is at the side of the producer. And here the government is focusing on improving the farm gate infrastructure so that the farm produce reaches to the consumer easily. And here you should know the chain which is known as farm to fork. So from the farm to the fork of the consumer. This chain has to be streamlined and made better so that the farmers get better prices for their produce and the consumers also get farm produce at a reasonable price. Now for this, the government has now taken the ordinance route because the parliament is not in session. And here you should know about Article 123 and Article 213, under which ordinances are passed by the central government and the state government. And the editorial says that the amendments made to the Essential Commodities Act as well as the decision to end the monopoly of APMC mandis sends a positive message to the farm sector. And the editorial says that for a long time, the policymakers in India have seen agriculture only as a means of controlling inflation or supplying the consumption goods and surplus labor for industries and for urbanization. And the editorial makes a point that this view now needs to change and farming needs to be seen as a business where the farmer must get remunerative prices for his or her produce. And agriculture should not be seen just as a cog in the wheel, which is just fulfilling the goals defined by other sectors. And for this, the government is also trying to make the agriculture more remunerative, and it has a plan to double the farmers' income by 2022. And here an important committee was Dalwai Committee. This you should be knowing. Further, the editorial discusses the Essential Commodities Act amendment, and it says the amendment has removed the stockholding limits in foodstuffs, and which is a welcome step. But in extraordinary conditions which have been defined as a war, as a famine or natural calamities, under these conditions, the freedom granted under this Essential Commodities Act will not apply. And another condition has been added that if the retail prices increase more than 50% over the average of the last 5 years in case of non-perishable produce, which includes cereals, pulses and edible oils, and 100% for perishables, which includes onions and potatoes. So for the non-perishables, the increase is 50% more than the average of the last 5 years, and for perishables like onions and tomatoes, the increase has to be over 100% of the average in the last 5 years. In this case also, the freedom granted under this amendment of Essential Commodities Act will not apply, and the government can impose conditionalities. But the editorial says that the recent evidence show that inflation in most foodstuffs is episodic, that is, it happens from time to time, and there is vastly improved response of farmers to any price rise. So whenever there is a price rise, the farmers also increase their output. So supply side response from the farmer side has improved. So the editorial feels that these restrictions are actually not needed, but still the government has kept it as a backup measure. And there are studies to show that the government's intervention at certain times has also proved beneficial for the consumers. So that is the reason the government has kept these conditions. Though the editorial makes this point that the injury caused to the producers from cutting off market access has proved far more severe and long lasting than any relief that has been provided to the consumers by the application of this Essential Commodities Act 1955. So the editorial is saying that the harm done to the producers has been far more than any benefit that has accrued to the consumers on account of the application of this Essential Commodities Act 1955. Next, the editorial talks about this APMC Mandis monopoly ending, and it says the government has allowed buying and selling of farmers' produce outside the physical boundaries of APMC mandis, and also the freedom to trade both within and from one state to another. But the editorial feels that this is unlikely to yield immediate gains. While in the case of Essential Commodities Act 1955, the changes may lead to immediate gains for the farmers, but this APMC monopoly ending will have long-term positive effects, but it is unlikely to lead to any immediate gains. And to substantiate its point, it gives the example of milk, and it says that only a handful of cooperative and private dairies procure directly from the farmers, despite no APMC regulations governing the milk supply. And the reason is that sometimes it is more convenient from the bulk buyers to source it from aggregators rather than source it directly from the farmers. And the editorial makes the same point when it says that the dismantling of the APMC monopoly will not stop the big agro processors and traders, retailers from relying on mandi intermediaries. So these mandi intermediaries are still going to play an important role to source the produce of the farmers. And for now, the major reason would be the convenience and the assurance provided by these intermediaries. So till the time the farm gate infrastructure improves, the intermediaries are going to be still around and they will have an important role to play. Finally, the editorial says that this ending of monopoly of APMCs does provide the farmers and the big agro processors the opportunity and the option of an alternative marketing channel that can force the mandis to do a better job. So, if nothing else, this opening of the direct channel between farmers and the big buyers, it might lead to more competition in the sector and it will lead to better work done by these APMC mandis as well. So this may be a byproduct of these changes, that not only there will be a direct channel for the farmers to sell their produce, but the existing channel will also become more competitive and it will become better for both the buyer and the seller. So these were in the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at some key concepts. So in key concepts, let us look at Essential Commodities Act 1955. So it provided for the control of production, supply, distribution, trade and commerce in any farm product deemed essential and in the interest of the general public. And the list of items under this included drugs, fertilizers, pulses and edible oils and petroleum products. And the act also gave power to the center to include new commodities as and when the need arose, and also to take them off once the situation improved. And under this, the government could also fix the maximum retail price of any packaged product that it declares an essential commodity. And once a notification is issued under it, anybody trading or dealing in a commodity, be it wholesalers, retailers or even importers, they are prevented from stockpiling it beyond a certain quantity. So stock limits apply. And now 6 commodities have been removed from it, which are cereals, edible oils, oilseeds, onion, pulses and potato. And it protects consumers against irrational spikes in prices of essential commodities, and it is used to crack down on hoarders and black marketeers of such commodities. And the government has invoked the act numerous times to ensure adequate supplies, and recently the government brought masks and hand sanitizers under the ECA to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and also to prevent price gouging. Here we should know this term. So price gouging is the artificial increase in price of any commodity which is of essential nature to benefit from the calamity. For example, the air tickets which become extremely costly during any natural disaster because the people need to travel from one place to another, but the airlines sometimes try to take advantage of that fact by increasing the price of the tickets. And the states are implementing agencies to implement the Essential Commodities Act 1955 along with the Prevention of Black Marketing and Maintenance of Supplies of Essential Commodities Act 1980. Now let us look at APMC. So APMC stands for Agriculture Produce Marketing Committees, and it is a statutory market committee constituted by a state government in respect of trade in certain notified agriculture or horticultural or livestock products under the APMC Act issued by the state government. And APMC has mandis in the market area that regulates the notified agriculture produce and livestock. However, the APMCs are considered to be highly restrictive and prohibitive towards the interest of farmers, though they were earlier introduced to stop distress selling by the farmers. But over a period of time, they have transformed into cartels, which only looks after the interest of middlemen. And based on the Interministerial Task Force on Agriculture Marketing Reforms 2002, the Government of India designed a Model Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee Act in 2003 to bring reforms in the agriculture markets. And the features of this Model APMC Act 2003 were providing new market options other than APMC markets, privatized wholesale markets for agriculture products, direct purchase of produce, and provided for contract farming. And the objectives are to ensure transparency in pricing systems and transactions taking place in the market area, provide market-led extension services to farmers, and ensure payment for agriculture produce sold by farmers on the same day. So these were the objectives. And now what are the changes which are being contemplated by the central government? So it has announced that it would come up with a new central law to incorporate the following, which will be adequate choices to farmers to sell produce at attractive prices, barrier-free interstate trade, and framework for e-trading of agriculture produce. And here this point is very important, which is that while agriculture is a subject which is placed under the state list, but the interstate trade and commerce of agriculture products is placed under the concurrent list. So the central government has a right to make a law on it. And where center and state both make laws, the central law holds precedence. And here you should also be knowing that Article 246 or 7th schedule contains the lists, the union, state and concurrent lists. So this was all in the editorial analysis. Now let us look at what kind of questions can be asked in PT and mains. So in prelims you can be asked about Essential Commodities Act, which are the commodities which have been now removed from ECA stock limits. So you should be knowing the 6 commodities that have been removed. Also about APMC the question can be asked, and a question can be on the new ordinances as well. What is their purpose and what are they seeking to achieve? Also a question can be on contract farming as well, that how it will help in contract farming and how contract farming will help the farmers. Coming on to mains, the question can be on unshackling of the farm sector, that how the farm sector will become more productive by these changes brought in by the government. What are the challenges in front of farm sector and what are the opportunities? Also a question can be on agriculture sector and its role in the Indian economy. Though its contribution to GDP is decreasing, but still it employs almost half of the working population in India. And also a question can be on doubling farmers' income, which are the important committees and what are the government targets. So this you should be knowing. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.